Willy's Wonderland is a cult classic in the making, and in this video, you guys are going to be checking out my interview with one of the stars of the film. We're going to dive into how he got into everything. He does some voice acting, he does some great acting, and just some stories from Willy's Wonderland. So have fun, guys. Hit that like and subscribe button for more movie content, and of course, enjoy.
So Willy's Wonderland, dude, I get to watch this film tonight, and I'm like psyched out of my mind. So when the script came across you, how did you get involved? That's just something I really want to hear about.
So it was just the great American audition. That's how I got to be involved. So I got the script, I got my part, and I thought this is a blast. I got to get involved in this. Did a self-tape, did a couple more auditions, and luckily I got the part, and it was so much fun to work on this movie. It was fun to read, it was fun to audition for, and it was an absolute blast to be in.
I bet, dude. Do you have any like fun stories on set or anything dealing with any of the other castmates that you got to deal with, or even the animatronics itself? Because they, for the most part, they look all practical effects, and from what I understand, they actually are.
They are. Everything is a practical effect in this. It's classic horror, classic gore. Nic Cage is the coolest guy to work with. He's a consummate professional. He's everything you want him to be.
That's
and
awesome.
we were geeking out talking about Godzilla. He's a big Godzilla fan. We were chatting about Superman a little bit. I didn't want to get too into it because I know he was almost Superman, but he's just the coolest guy. Beth Grant, who, as you know, no stranger to horror with Child's Play 2 and in No Country for Old Men. She and we have great chemistry together. We became really good friends. She invited me over to her house. We worked on scenes in between scenes, had lunch together. Since the pandemic, we have done Zoom play readings together. So it's been really cool.
That's awesome.
And then Emily Tosta and I and a bunch of the other cast members, we went out all the time while we were shooting.
Great. So yeah, this was filmed right before everything had happened. And did you guys hit the mark right, like as everything kind of started happening, or was it way before?
I think the last day of shooting was February 28th. I think we had since it was a leap year last year, we had our cast and crew party on the 29th, and then everything shut down. It was pretty crazy.
So you guys hit it like right there. That's awesome.
Perfect.
So this whole concept, evil animatronics come into life, and for me, that's just, as a kid, I was afraid of Chucky at Chuck E. Cheese. So this is like a nightmare for me, but I'm so excited for it. So is there a certain animatronic in here that like maybe freaked you out a bit, that you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to get next to that one?
Siren Sarah is both sexy and creepy. So that I will say that. But Willy the man himself is the king of the animatronics and is very scary.
That's awesome. That's so cool. And so how was the practical effects kind of done in there? Can you tell any like cool things that you kind of noticed on set, or anything that like you very much appreciate? Because it's giving me memories back to like Gremlins type days. Right. And that's like some of the things that I've been really excited about.
So I'll tell you that there are actors inside all the animatronic. Okay. They are moving everything. And it's sort of a work of the people inside, puppetry, classic filmmaking techniques, sort of the Roger Corman style of making horror films. And everybody who worked on it is not only a professional at what they do, but they're also a student of that old horror style. So I think they've really done a wonderful job, and you'll see how cool it is and how real it looks.
And have you actually gotten to see like a cut of the film yet?
I've seen bits and pieces of the film. I haven't seen the full thing yet. So I, like everybody else, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I cannot wait.
Definitely, Gio's kind of like hyping it up to be this giant event, and it's been cool to like share it with like my friends, my girlfriend, everyone, like getting them hyped out of their minds for it. Like I sent it to one of my friends, and he goes, "This looks like everything I could possibly want and more." And I'm like, it absolutely is. So I'm just like, again, I'm psyched out of my mind. This movie just looks everything. So let's talk about you though. So like, I like to get a little bit personal and kind of talk. So, I was kind of going through your IMDb and what you've done and everything. And, I've seen you've done a lot of voice work within Days Gone, which love that game, by the way. Love that game. So I'm to see that you were even on there, like made me so excited. I was like, oh, he's on Days Gone. That's awesome. And then of course, Family Guy, American Dad. Do you like more of the voice acting, or do you like more of the, being on camera and all that?
That's kind of like asking which of your kids do you like better. Honestly, it's such fun to do both. The only benefit, the greatest benefit of doing voiceover is no makeup, no having to dress up. You get to show up as you are, and you can play a lot of different things in voiceover. Like right now, I'm on a show on Facebook Watch called Rival Peak, which I voice a character. He's an Australian character named Christopher Sabun. Sabun is his spiritual name, which means soap. And it's a combination of a game, The Sims, meets Lost, meets Survivor, all wrapped up in this cool game and after show that's hosted by Will Wheaton.
That sounds amazing. And that's where's that at? I want to send my audience that. Where is that?
Please. So go to facebook.com, type in Rival Peak, and you can play the game. You can vote for your favorite characters. Hopefully, that's my character. It's we're 9 weeks into our 12-week run, and we've got 3 weeks left. And my character is one of the final 4 who hasn't been voted off yet. But some strange, crazy stuff happens on Rival Peak. So
that is really unique. I love that. I love that, man. So, and going in about that, how did you get into this? Did you start as voice actor, or were you just straight on screen?
So I studied theater in college, and I did about 11 shows in my 4 years there. Studied in Edinburgh, Scotland, did a show at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. And when I got out of school, I tried to hit the ground running with extra work. I worked on some soap operas like Young and the Restless and Days of Our Lives. And then I got my break on Family Guy, actually. That was my first voiceover gig. I was there for a table read that my dad, who knew I was such a huge fan of Family Guy, American Dad, Cleveland Show, all those things, got me into watch a table read with Seth MacFarlane, where he's switching between all the voices. He's amazing to watch.
That's crazy.
And while I was there, we met Linda LaMontagne, who's the casting director. She's casted so many amazing shows. Not just that, but like BoJack Horseman, Astro Boy, a million things. And I met her there. My dad said, my son can do all the voices. He sort of pushed me to the front of the line and she goes, do them for me. So I did them and she goes, that's great. I need someone next week. Can you be here to do some additional voices? And I said, yes. And she jump-started my voiceover career, helped me get my first voiceover agent. And I owe so much to her.
Hey, and sometimes that's all it takes. I mean, when I got into the whole film criticism stuff, that's what it took. It took me like, one person to push me. And then like, as I started kind of believing in myself a little bit more, I was like, I can do this. I can do this. And I'm really interested in voice acting. Like that's always been one of the things that I've been like so in love with. Like animation's like my favorite genre. And then of course, horror. What's some of your favorite genres?
Animation's really, really up there. Superhero, anything I love. So like Superman's my guy. And anything sort of, I mean, I know we call it geek culture, but I see you've got Baby Yoda there, Grogu.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I mean, last season of Mandalorian was chef's kiss.
Yeah.
So
is there a certain like maybe thing that you want to jump into, like whether it's a Star Wars animated show, a Marvel one, they have that What If whole entire show, or even DC, they do a lot of those animated things. Is there a certain character that you're like, man, I would love to voice?
I mean, I would absolutely love to voice Superman on one of the DC animated films. So I own all of the DC animated films. I do love all the Marvel stuff. And yeah, Star Wars, Marvel, DC. I'm also a big Greek mythology guy. So I'm a big fan of that. So anything Greek mythology I would like to do too. I don't know if you've seen on Netflix Blood of Olympus.
I have. It's great.
I love that show. I think that's awesome. So something in that, I think there's going to be a season 2 of that. I would absolutely love to be a part
Well, it's championing you, man. I want to see you in a Superman. I want to see you voicing Superman. I want to see you doing all this sorts of stuff. Like you, like just hearing like just the little tidbits of you and kind of like just meeting you, like you're very delightful, man. And you're charming and hearing like where you've come from, like I can see that like in the same thing as me and other people that I know, and you've just pushed, and this seems to be kind of that film that maybe even gets you up there, because I believe this will be a cult classic. I really think it will. So tell me a little bit about your character in this. Who do you play? What do you do? All sorts of that, because again, I haven't seen this film. There's so much mysteriousness about the movie that it again, curiosity killed the cat, and maybe it will kill me watching this movie. But so let me know, man.
Well, yeah, I definitely don't want to spoil anything, but I play a character. His name is Sheriff Deputy Evan Olson, and I get to work with Beth Grant, who is an amazing, amazing actress. And we had great chemistry together. She plays the sheriff. I'm her deputy for the evening, and I'm a happy-go-lucky, just fun-loving guy until all hell breaks loose in this movie. And I think, as you see in the trailer, Beth Sheriff's character throws me a shotgun. So what I think is going to be a quiet night turns into mayhem very, very quickly. So
I bet. Is there any other horror films that you could kind of equivalent to how this movie is? Like whether it's like super bloody or maybe jump scares, or is there like anything that while you were on set, you're like, this reminds me of this?
it's definitely gory. So I think you're gonna like this. It has, all the tropes that in Cabin in the Woods
Love it.
had and played upon. We are as well. So you're going to see a lot of jump scares. You're going to see a lot of classic horror stuff in this, I think.
I love that because like Cabin in the Woods, that's one of my favorite horror films of all time. So maybe this will even skyrocket up there. Even so, looking in this, if you were to actually be trapped in Willy's Wonderland, do you think you would be able to survive the night?
I think personally, as me, David Sheftell, I'd be dead in the first 5 minutes. I don't know.
So that's exactly how I would be, man. Yeah. And which character do you think would grab you?
Ooh, I mean, Willy is the main man, but there's a guy walking around named Tito the Turtle, and I think he could be some trouble.
It's funny. He's the one that I've heard about, but have not seen like anything for. Yep. And he's kind of the one that kind of like creeps me out. I know there's Gus the Gorilla. Is that right?
Yeah, Gus the Gorilla. He looks like he could bash you pretty quickly. The one I think everybody's gonna have to watch out for though when they see it is Siren Sarah. She's both seductress as well as murderous. So
see, and that's what's just so cool is again that practical effects, man, and just it sounds like a bunch of fun that you guys had on set. It seems like you guys had like a little bit of like it feels like a family, and I'm sure that's kind of like what formed from this.
It really, really did. And I got to tell you, when you're growing up and you're auditioning and you see movies and you're like, they must all be friends after the film and they must all be friends during it. This was that dream come true of like, everybody's exchanging phone numbers. Everybody wants to stay in touch. Everybody's having Zoom calls. We're all on tomorrow. We're having a Willys watch party. We're all tweeting live together at 6 p.m. In Pacific time and 9 p.m. Eastern. So
that's
I
awesome.
hope everybody can join.
That's amazing, man. And it is really cool that this is going to be at home and also in some theaters. I'm planning on taking one of my friends to it for his birthday. I'm like, dude, I told him, I was like, this is your type of movie. I'm excited to take you. And Willys, it feels like you're actually going there. And so, and one of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of people have been comparing this to Five Nights at Freddy's. But for me, it seems a little bit not as kiddie, to say the least. Like the Willy himself, the icon.
Yep.
But, can you talk a little bit about that? Have you heard any of the comparisons?
So it's funny. I didn't know about Five Nights at Freddy's until well after we shot the film. Okay. But from what I've heard, since I don't know it very well, I know Willys well, but I don't know this well. So I would say, think of it as Five Nights, but Nic Cage is the guy in there, and he knows exactly how to handle himself. So.
Definitely. And, he definitely, I just attended Sundance and saw his film, Prisoners of the Ghostland. And like, he just comes in and totally he's Nic Cage. I mean, what more can you say about that? And I know like he was kind of like when he signed on for this film, I feel like that kind of blew it up a little bit more. And were you signed on yet before him, or was it right well after?
It wasn't it was sort of right after he was signed on. I got signed on as well. So I was sort of forming the cast as everybody was auditioning and getting signed on. But I gotta say, Nick does some amazing work in this. Emily Tosta, who's fantastic from Party of Five, and she does some amazing work. We have some great scenes together. And then Beth and I don't want to say steal the show, but hopefully we do. So.
But sometimes that's how it is. Like the deputy and the sheriff, man, when it comes to certain films like this, they are the ones that sometimes do that. And, just from hearing your charisma, man, and the way that you talk about your co-star, it definitely feels like that you guys will have those moments that's like, okay, let's get to this. And I'm just excited to see where your character ends up going, because the mysteriousness around all this is just fantastic. So let's talk about what do you got coming up in the future? Do you have anything planned? I know the pandemic's kind of halted a lot of different things. So do you have anything coming up?
So I definitely got a few things coming up. I don't know which ones I can sort of talk about right now, but I would definitely say the 3 more weeks of Rival Peak, please check out. I do have a production company I just started, so we're working on some things as well to make our own projects. And so we're sort of all moving forward through this pandemic. And then I've got another movie coming out tomorrow as well. It's called Show Me What You Got. So
what's that one about?
So that is about a young man from Italy. He's working to try and become an actor, and he's trying to up his social media numbers and figure out how to get into the acting world. And while he's in America, he meets a couple and they sort of start a throuple together and sort of fall in love in an unconventional, becoming more conventional way of three people in a relationship. So it's a beautiful story. And Svetlana, the director, this is her first time directing a film. She's done a lot of cinematography on other films, but this is her directing debut, and that's another movie that was a pleasure to work on. So
it sounds interesting, and it comes out tomorrow. Man, there's so much coming out tomorrow.
A lot is coming out tomorrow. So I would say, watch Willys, watch Show Me What You Got, then go play Rival Peak.
Hey, there you go. And so with that movie, who do you play in that?
I play a character named Tom, who's a social media expert with a company, and I chat with the young gentleman who's the star of it, and we try to figure out how to bump up his numbers. So yeah.
And did you have to learn actual things for that? I'm curious.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
I had to bump up my own social media game for sure.
Hey man, and you're just coming in, and sometimes it just takes these like one films. And again, I think you just being in Willys is such a big thing, I think, for you. And that's awesome to see. Like for me, like you're this up and comer coming up, and what do you want from like in your career? You're doing the acting, you started your production company. Is writing, directing kind of something that you're interested in?
I am. So I just joined the Writers Guild of America.
Congrats. That's awesome.
I appreciate that. And the kind of cool thing that I've been able to do with that is I'm now one of their hosts on their podcast called Third and Fairfax.
Okay.
And my first interview is actually with Judd Apatow, and that's
oh my God.
So I've sort of had this amazing year of getting to be in this movie, in these two movies, work on this voiceover stuff, and now through the Writers Guild, not only writing and starting to direct and produce some stuff, but also getting to talk to some of my heroes. So I hope people will go listen to that interview, because I think
I'm definitely going to go do that, because I love Judd Apatow and King of Staten Island last year. I don't know if you got to see it. I'm sure you did.
That's one of the big things we talk about. So we discussed all about King of Staten Island, which I thought was phenomenal. So
I agree. What's your favorite Apatow film? Like, what's the one that like, oh my God, this is awesome?
I do like 40-Year-Old Virgin. That's one of the best. Yep.
Yeah, my dad showed me that at a very young age, and I'm like, shouldn't be watching this, but absolutely love it. Yeah. See, for me, it's actually funny people for me, and I love the inspiration and the way that he wrote that and how personal it felt from that. But man, you got so much exciting stuff coming up, writing, directing, acting, and all sorts of things like that. Is there a certain, we've talked about genres before. Is there a certain genre you want to play around in when it comes to that?
I mean, look, superhero, anything I would absolutely love to be in. I know we talked, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, anything like that would be great. But, I've done a lot of dramatic work as well, and I would love to flex that muscle. So.
Okay. And, hearing from your past and how you kind of like came about to all this, you've had that experience already, and that's so cool. So where are you from originally?
I'm born and raised in a little town called Los Angeles, California.
Okay.
So I grew up in the main hub of it all. So,
okay.
But, it's funny. Everybody sort of goes, oh, you grew up in LA. Nobody's from LA. I go, yeah, it was really, quiet as a kid because there was no one else around.
See, I'm from Big Bear, California.
Oh, nice.
So I love California. It's like one of my, love going out there.
Yep.
Not right now per se because of everything. It's totally in lockdown. But yeah, that's so sweet. And so it seems like your family's always been pushing. Are they both also in the industry at all, or?
So, it's funny enough, they're not in the industry, but I have been so fortunate that my parents and my sister Samantha have been my biggest fan and teams, and they have supported me. And the minute I said, hey, I want to go into acting, they were the most supportive. While I was in college, every show I was in, they came every night. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
and that's that support you need to get there. And you have that built around you. And, seeing all that, I love hearing that, man. And it's just, you sound like such a great guy that really just has this next, like, it's that breakthrough, man. When this whole world goes back to normal, I really see some like shining spots here. And it's great, like hearing all this and hearing how, just in general, how enthusiastic you are about the industry itself, because you hear a lot of people down on it. And, what's something that you can like truly say to like maybe people who are like looking to do the same thing as you right now?
I would say, hey, look, like you were sort of saying, a lot of people get down on it. I know there's a lot of rejection in this industry, but it's fine. There's rejection in all aspects of life, right?
Yeah.
Whether you want to date someone and maybe they say, no, I don't want to go on it. That's rejection. Whether you go for any kind of job can be rejection. But, I think if you push through, learn from your mistakes and adjust, perseverance is the best sort of thing in this business, I think.
And that's really for everything, especially in the way that you're talking about it. Because I know, a lot of my audience always asks, like, how can I get into the film industry? How can I get that? And I think what you're saying is perseverance and growing. And again, not getting down on yourself, but just taking that next step forward. And, hearing and seeing again, just your IMDb alone, when did your career like really kind of start? When did you start kind of coming about this all?
So, while I was in college, I tried to do little things here and there. I did a movie called Local Color with Ray Liotta, which was a phenomenal experience. That was one of my first films. But really, I sort of hit the ground running 2009, right when I graduated. And like I said, did extra work, hopped on, any auditions I could, would do free theater anywhere I could. So I really just tried to do as much and hone my craft, got into class. You think, hey, I've graduated college. I'm done learning, right? I know how to act. You jump into class right away. You get back into it and you learn. So the difference between, theater, film, voiceover, it's all acting, but it's all done differently. It's like, working with a knife or a scalpel or a laser. It's how different all of these things can be.
And that's cool. And like, I'm looking at your IMDb, it looks like you did a lot of shorts as well, jumping in. And of course, then Days Gone, American Dad, Family Guy, which again, we got to talk about Days Gone for a little bit. Yes. So, it's a Sony exclusive game.
Yep.
I think it's truly the most underrated game that came out on the PlayStation 4.
I agree.
Yeah, like I was like, another zombie game, come on. And I hopped onto this and I'm like, I'm totally sold into this. So is there any games that like maybe you've wanted to lend your voice to so far, or something that maybe you want to do the mocap behind the scenes?
There's a lot of there's a lot of Star Wars games coming out that I'd love to do. I know the new Marvel game just came out. I would love to voice a Marvel character on there for sure.
Is there someone in particular that you like from Marvel? Like the most, like which character?
I'm a Tony Stark fan, or Wolverine. Wolverine's my guy, so
I
love him.
I dig it.
I love playing the Spider-Man on PS4.
Oh yeah, it's great, and those are like great pastimes and stuff. But yeah, man, like again, Days Gone, Family Guy, and then Rival Peak, like you were mentioning, and it's really interesting to see like one person jump from both. And seeing how like they can diverse themselves and again within their voice and then change it and like be completely like, oh, that person does that. I wouldn't have even noticed unless you look at the IMDb or in general what they've done. So let's just kind of follow back. Let's jump back to Willy's Wonderland before we kind of start tying it up. So the movie comes out this Friday, February 12th. By the time you guys are watching this, it should be already out. And I hope you guys do check this out because the shirt says it all. Have you talked to Gio or anyone else involved, maybe telling what they're going to do? I've seen Gio's kind of talking about something else that he might be doing later down the road.
We've chatted a little bit. We're friends on Instagram, so we sort of Instagram back and forth. I've chatted with Kevin Lewis, the director, as well, so who's amazing to work with. And I know everybody's got stuff coming down the line. I just don't know if I can chat about it yet. So
okay,
I don't want
no problem.
to get in trouble. Don't want to spoil anything. So.
And I totally get that, man. I'm just as excited as you are to see what you're able to do next. So before we get going, I got one more question to ask you. Yep. When it comes down to a script, especially with Willy's Wonderland, how much of it actually stuck to the script and how much of it was pretty much improvised on the scene? Whether it's with any of the kills, because I'm assuming that people die in this, and because it's a horror film, or in general, just certain the dialogue.
So we were really good with sticking to the script, but Kevin Lewis is such a wonderful director. After we got several takes, he would say, okay, we know what the scene's about. Let's improvise. Let's try some different stuff. Or he would say, I had a dream last night and I thought about this monologue, and he wrote it down and he would give it to Emily and I, and he'd go, here's the scene. It's basically the same scene, but I want these words. And if you don't like any of the stuff, throw it out. Let's just play. So after we got the script, we would play. And then with regard to the kills and stuff, there are kills in this for sure. We would try several different ways. So Yeah. So there's definitely from script to screen, maybe a little bit different, but yeah, we definitely stayed true to it as well.
Well, man, I will be cheering you on tonight when I get my screener of Willy's Wonderland. Definitely cheering for you to survive this horrific event, and definitely cheering to see where you go next, man. I'll be looking forward to your career. I'm definitely going to follow you on all your things so I can see where you end up going. You're a great guy, and I look forward to see what you're doing again, man.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, David Sheftell on all the socials. DAVID SHEFTELL. Thank you, buddy.
Guys.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much, man. Guys, go support him as well, guys. Thank you so much for clicking on this, as well as head on over to Sandwich Films on how to see films early. And just, guys, seriously, let's get this guy. Let's get David to voice Superman for the next DC animated film. I think I would just love to hear that voice in that Superman costume and in general, that face. So thank you again, David.
Thank you, Zach.